Hello. Hello, hello. How are we all doing? Hello. I am here. I do in fact exist. Hi. I'm definitely not late. Let me say hellos. Hello, Potter. Hi. Hello. Hello, M0. Hello, Yamavko. Hello, Nightmind. Hello, Seon. Hello, Miguel. Hi. How you all doing? How is everybody? Long time no see. I know. I definitely wasn't running late. I can explain. Hi, Phantom. Welcome in. Hi. I stream, therefore I am. So true, actually. I feel like I don't exist when I'm not streaming. This is very true. It's like object permanence. I actually just stop existing when I'm not streaming. That's how it works. Hi, Hogan. Hi. How are we all doing? I'm doing okay. I'm sorry for being late. Me and Husbando were having a very intense conversation about cybersecurity, and then I lost track of the time. I'm sorry. That's like the most nerdy reason ever as well for like being late to stream. I apologize. I can't help it. Just done 100 out of 300 epochs of my RVC model training. I don't know what that means. But well done. That means you're a third of the way through. Good job. Maybe you should change the font of the chat. I don't think I can in Twitch. Can I? Is that a thing you can do? I think Twitch is like locked to having a certain font. I've got my own font on here. I think. Yeah, no, I do. On here. I've got my own font. So, yeah. Does this count as a Tuesday or Wednesday stream? Yes. Yes. No, it's Tuesday. Yes, it is indeed Tuesday. This is the Tuesday stream. This is the science stream, as opposed to tomorrow, which will be the Wednesday stream, which will be the not science stream. Do I know what I am doing? No. In fact, I didn't know what I was doing until, like, for this stream. I didn't know what I was doing for this stream until 45 minutes after it was meant to have started. So that's good. That's like the brain capacity that I'm at. So yes. Not in Twitch in the preview on the stream. I don't think. Is there a? No, I don't think there's chat on there. There's no chat on there on the preview on the like starting soon thing. There's no chat on there. But the wiggly like starting soon text that's like the same font as I use for everything pretty much. There's like 2 fonts that I use. I have a brand kit. I'm very extra. I have a brand kit. I have a brand kit. Yes, cybersecurity, that's an interesting topic. It is indeed. It's so big. I feel like whenever I try and like understand anything about cybersecurity, I'm like, I can understand the social engineering side of it perfectly fine. But like when I start learning about the technical stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too much. There's no way. No way. I could have brought the argument to stream and had a chat about it. Yeah, I could have done, but it wasn't an argument. We were just talking. Or like partially it was us learning things together, which is always fun. But yeah, we got a bit like absorbed into it and then lost track of the time, and then I'm like, oh wait, my stream was meant to have already started, whoops. And then we finished the conversation and then it was an hour late, so that was good. Yes. I guess we have different font preferences. Yes, different people have different font preferences. Yes, I have like 2 fonts. I think like the peer review up there, that font, and then is the same one that's on the wavy text on the starting soon screen, and it's also the one that I use at the top of my stream schedule and stuff like that. It's like the header font basically. I use it everywhere. I like it. I don't want to change it. And then the other, I think it's called Bobby Jones Soft. I think that's the name of it. And then the font that I use for everything else, like for actual like body text, is Railway, because I like that. That's my favorite font. Yes, very good font. Yes. Social engineering is most of cybersecurity IMO. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big part of it, right? Definitely a big part of it. I'd love to find somebody that does this as a job and like bring them onto stream. I think that'd be really fun to like talk to them about it at some point. I have so many ideas for like collabs and stuff I want to do in the new year. But first I need to... You'll know the drill. First I need to finish my PhD. I can't have nice things until I finish my PhD. Oh dear. All of the attack-based cybersecurity stuff tends to be automated. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how people even keep up with any of it. Like, it moves so quickly. So quickly, like... Yeah, there's been a lot of big attacks on, like, government bodies and, you know, public-owned bodies and stuff like that. In recent times, like I swear, like in the UK, the NHS gets like cyber attacked. I swear, like every 2 weeks. It's wild. It's been certainly scaling up from my completely non-professional view of the situation. But yeah, it's kind of wild. It's kind of scary, and I feel like it's just a new like it's just a different. I feel like it's almost like okay when you actually look into like what's behind like the groups that are behind it, you start to realize, hang on, this is just geopolitics. My mildly spicy opinion is that well, not really, but you know, I think that there's like still a bit of a Cold War going on, right? But it's not really, it's not like people spying physically anymore. It's like the cyber stuff. That's my probably not spicy at all opinion. Yeah. Oh wait, what was this font? Let me have a look. Redux Pro. I've never even heard of it. Let me check. Redux Pro. Oh, it's a Google font. I see. It's not loading. Oh. Well, let me see the font. I want to see the font. Okay, that is quite a nice font, actually. I do like that. But I am a railway enjoyer, so I use that. Apparently good for dyslexia. I can kind of see how that might be. The the letters feel very distinct. Yes. Yes. But it also looks aesthetic. It definitely does. I think Linux got caught having quite a high severity bug a few days ago. Don't say that. Don't make me panic, Shayon. Please don't. Please don't do that. Government sites are so bad. They really are. They're terrible. They're so bad. Hi, Cleonium. Welcome in. Welcome in. How you doing? And hi, Dark Magnitude. Welcome in. How are you doing too? Attacks haven't been increasing as much as detection of them has. They are valid. That's very true, actually. It might be like a like a survivorship bias. We're surviving more, so we notice it more. Talking about cybersecurity, I want to make a Ponagotchi. What is that? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I'm dyslexic and I like the text to look as generic as possible. So Arial and Calibri, basically anything quirky can throw me off. That's so interesting because I'm not dyslexic. I can read literally anything. Like a word can be like half formed and I can still read it. My brain just automatically connects it. And I find this very, very interesting. But yeah, like I mean, I don't like cursive just because I think it's a bit ugly, to be honest. I'm not a cursive enjoyer. Unless it's like very specific kinds of calligraphy. Calligraphy can be very, very satisfying. So like I think we've raided into someone called Almantus before. Almantus VT. Let me give him a shout out actually. Wait. Oh, movement, sorry. There you go, Almantus. He does like calligraphy streams and I swear they are so satisfying. And every time that he does any kind of font, I'm like, I enjoy this. This makes me happy. This is very, very aesthetic. I enjoy this. It's like a Tamagotchi, but it captures Wi-Fi handshakes and then sends the stuff to my machine where I can brute force it. That's terrifying. I don't like it. Don't like it. Always thought the Cold War today was a new culture war. I mean, to be fair, okay, so this is something I can comment on as somebody who studies disinformation and misinformation as a job. Like, yes, like unironically, like there is massive like geopolitical campaigns in various directions, I'd like to add. This is not like one specific state doing this to other specific states. Like, there is a lot of it going on. Pretty much every country is doing it to everyone else. But yeah, there's like a lot of organized like disinformation campaigns to try and spread like, yeah, misinformation and conspiracy theories and stuff. It's fairly well documented now. And it's just using all of the same propaganda techniques that people have been using for the last, 100 years. Like, people's psychology hasn't really changed that much. Ways of accessing it has, but yeah, the biases that we're prone to and the stories we are prone to believing and stuff like that hasn't really changed that much. There's like kind of broad features that you can stick to, and then you can convince people of things. So yeah, I can imagine that being the case. That's the reason I dislike Open Dyslexic. It looks too quirky. Open Dyslexic is very stressful. Like, I can read it fine, I just find it stressful to observe, It's like a really obnoxiously patterned wallpaper. It's like upsetting, Hi, Mute. Hi, welcome in. How you doing? Time for my weekly lurk. Thank you for the lurk, Mute. Thank you for the lurk. I hope you have a good time, and I don't know what you're doing. Whatever you're doing while you lurk, I hope it goes well. Have you ever seen Russian cursive? I have, and it is an absolute mess. It's not readable. It's just squiggles. Any kind of Cyrillic cursive is just like, nah. No. Montserrat? You like Montserrat? The font? I've heard of it, but I don't remember it. Wait, this is another Google font. We're a big fan of the Google fonts. Oh, it's too wide. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. That's wide. Why is there such a big gap between the letters? That's kind of stressing me out as well. If it was like condensed, that would be fine, but I like the form of the letters. I don't like the gap between the letters. Weirdly specific preference, but okay. Hi, Doc Rex, welcome in. Welcome in. Finally caught a Psydere stream somewhere close to on time. I mean, it wasn't. It was an hour late. Thank you, though. Oh, dear. Quicksand and Pangolin are nice fonts, too. Ooh. I don't know. I like fonts in general. I find them very interesting. Sometimes I look at ones that are, like, stressful on purpose. Even that in itself can be fun sometimes. I can't be bothered enough to change my font from whatever default is right now. That's valid. That's fair. I very rarely change mine too. I have Japanese, Hebrew, and English, both mono and non-mono fonts on my machine. That's a lot. That's a lot. I think I only have like the basic ones for non-Latin script. Because even sometimes like I see things in like French or whatever with like an accent, and it's just like in a different font to the rest of the word, which is quite funny. I should probably install more like, yeah, more fonts for other alphabets. Oh dear. I read somewhere that Open Dyslexic doesn't help that much, as readable fonts are the ones that help with dyslexia. That's my understanding of it too, is that the evidence for it is very, very mixed. And like the people, like I know quite a few dyslexic people in my personal life as well, and all of them hate it. So like, there's one person I know that likes Open Dyslexic, and everyone else is like, that is the worst font, and I dislike it, and I have very strong opinions about it. So, yeah. Inclusive Sans has been my go-to for most things lately. I've never heard of it, but that sounds like a nice one. It's another Google font. Okay, that's quite nice, but again, it's the gaps between the letters feel slightly too big, and that makes me feel mildly stressed. I don't know why that distresses me. Oh dear. The Japanese one's actually two fonts, one for kana and one for kanji. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's Japanese alphabets. I tried to learn once. Oh, sorry for the phone noise. Sorry. Okay. No more phone noise. I apologize. This is a professional stream. Hi Tayu, welcome in. Uses the throw redeem that definitely exists. Maybe one day I will work out how to set it up. Maybe one day I'll actually put effort into my setup, but right now we're still running on basics. This is on my big list of things to do. I have a massive to-do list that is basically like, I swear I will do this after I submit my thesis. I swear, trust me, bro. Probably not gonna happen, but you know, maybe. I feel that, yeah. That's my whole life at the minute. It do be like that. Oh dear. The secret for getting a stream on time, make the stream be 1 hour late. True. I should just set up a rule, just like, if I'm just gonna put a random time on the schedule and whatever happens, happens. Maybe we should just go back to like pure guerrilla streaming, because it sometimes feel like even when I try to schedule things, it just doesn't work. Maybe I just can't be contained by rules of society. Maybe I'm just too powerful. I was too powerful, so my time perception had to be nerfed. Oh dear. My eye tracking is really bad today. What's going on? Why does it keep thinking my eyes are shut? My eyes are not shut. They are open. I swear. I'm only slightly sleep deprived. Oh. Probably more like a wish list. I think that's probably a more accurate description, to be fair. Hi! Hi, husbando! Yay! Hello. The Lord of the Cubelets has arrived. The Tungsten Master! Yes, he has arrived. I was all, I swear I'll do it after I'm getting out of my parents' home, until I got a mental breakdown. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm already out of my parents' home, so this isn't a thing that I can use. So maybe I just had a natural, like, you know, what's the word? Benefit? That's not the right word. The barrier was not there for me. It wasn't there in the first place. I pondered if a textured background would help that issue, but no way to try that with most readers. That's true, yeah. Almost like, well, like a paper texture? A paper texture, or like a grid texture, or a line texture. There's lots of textures. About the RVC model I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, that's like a speech-to-speech model. Oh, interesting! Like a voice changer, but AI. That is interesting. Actually wanted this so I could make my own audiobooks automatically with the voices I like. That's very cool. Quack. Thank you for the quack, yes. I agree. It is indeed a quack. Oh, wait, be mindful too. Thank you. Okay, let's do the be mindful. You're out of the mental breakdown. I'm glad. I'm really, really glad to hear that. Mental breakdowns are not fun, obviously. This is why, the fact that I don't respond very well to these kinds of things, and that's why I'm not a mental health psychologist. Yeah. I think listening while reading is probably the best for reading for me, probably. Yeah, I used to do that when I was in undergrad, like, because, I don't know, like, when I had to read a lot of papers for a lot of modules, I used to, like, have text-to-speech on while I was reading the paper, and it did help. But, like, specifically putting it into an accent that isn't mine would really help for some reason. So, like, instead of having it be a British accent, I'd have it be, like, an Irish accent or an Australian accent. I think because it was harder for me to tune out, because it's not the speech pattern I'm used to. But I'm not sure. You know what's funny that just occurred to me the other day? It's become so normalized to head pat people on our VTuber online space, even though in almost any other context, head patting a grown adult is seen as super condescending. Yeah, that is true, actually. I think surely that must be like a what's, oh my gosh, I'm struggling with words today. What's the word when something like a consequence? That's the word. It must be a consequence of the anime influence, surely, right? Because that's a thing in. Well, it's normally towards, like, you know, children, or teenagers in anime, but it's definitely a trope in anime, but it's not really a thing beyond that. I don't know. Interesting. It is very interesting. I mean, I don't mind being head patted, but specifically by husbando. Like, I think if someone else head patted me, I'd be like, oh, that's strange, don't touch me, you know? I like the podcaster accent. What is the podcaster accent? What is that? I don't know what that is. I don't listen to enough, like the podcasts that I listen to, there's like the people in them have, weirdly, there's a lot of Australians. So to me, Australian is the podcaster accent. I don't know. Head pats respectfully. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, the voice and accents matter a lot for comprehensibility. Definitely, definitely. Because I've got like quite slow like audio processing sometimes. Like I can read quickly, but I process audio slowly. So like when I am being spoken to, actually no, I don't even process audio slowly, right? It's if somebody is talking to me directly and I also have to do all of the social things, then I can't process it. But like podcasts I listen to on 1.5 speed. And YouTube videos I watch on 1.5 speed. So I don't think it's an audio processing thing. I think it's like a everything else that comes with it processing thing, if that makes sense. I was going somewhere with that and I've forgotten. Yes, some accents are definitely easier to speed listen to and process. Yes. Then again, kids and teens are often the protagonists. This is true. Yeah, they are. They are. Since you can use RVC in real time, it should be able to make some extension or something that makes it so that whatever video I watch online will be a specific voice. That's really interesting. That's very cool. Also, thank you for the hydrate and the posture check. UFCO and Nightmind. Let me. Okay, I'll drink and then we'll do the be mindful. I've got water today. Very boring. Podcaster accent is sounding like they're saying something profound, but in reality, they're just setting up the seamless advertising bit. That's so true. For me, it's important to live a meaningful life. I want to be in the moment. I want to be present. And therefore, you need to work for it, you know? You need to work to be present. You need to work to be there in the moment. And something that I use that does a really great job of helping me be in the moment are these mindfulness cards. I use them every day. They are really great quality, sturdy. They have some excellent insights on them. And you can buy a pack of 60 for only $24.99. Check the link in the description for my affiliate code. Anyway, back to the show. So what actually is the mindfulness task for today? Let's find out. Okay, so today is a reflection task. Oh my gosh, my music's really loud. Wait. Okay, so it's a reflection task. Perfect setup for an ad. I'm born to do this. I've got... I hate it. I hate it. I'd be better pre-recorded. I stall too much. Like, I forget what I'm saying while I'm saying it. I wouldn't be able to do it live. I wouldn't actually be able to do an ad read because I'd just start laughing. Let's be real. Okay, so today's mindfulness task is a reflection task. So it says, spend 10 undistracted minutes to reflect on the following quote and how it applies to your life in the moment. Now, this is obviously we're not going to spend 10 minutes reflecting because that doesn't really work on a stream. We're all Zoomers. We've got very short attention spans. So instead, even if you're not a Zoomer, the fact that you're here means that you're a Zoomer, like honorary Zoomer, you know? Culturally Zoomer. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yes, the mindfulness task today. So the quote. So we're thinking about how this applies to our lives. Wait, what? Good start. We are what we are. I swear the English will start working in a second. We are what we replace. I'm gonna cry. We are. This is how I know I couldn't do an ad read. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. You'll get there, thank you. I got there. We are what we replace. I'm struggling. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. That's what it means. That's what it... No, that's what it said. Oh my god. Am I even going to be able to read this paper today? Should I give up? Sounds like Buddhist karma. It is Aristotle. It's actually Aristotle. It's an Aristotle quote. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. There you go. That is the reflection quote. If excellence is what is a habit, then I need to work on it. That's what I would say. We are what we repeatedly do. So it's saying that we are defined by our habits. That's an interesting concept. I don't feel defined by my habits. But then it's also saying that the way that we describe ourselves and the things that we aspire to be is therefore a habit. That I can get behind, because the best way for you to achieve your goals is to keep grinding at it repeatedly. You know, language learning, you want to learn Japanese? Hypothetically. Any weebs in the chat? Keep grinding, keep doing it consistently and you'll get there. You want to be very good at what you do? Keep grinding and you'll get there, maybe. But you have, I would say there's a big caveat on this, which is that you need to be open to feedback and actually listen to it and implement it. That would be my massive caveat on it. Yes. You're a Zoomer at heart? Same. I feel like I'm too old to be a Zoomer, but I'm also too young to be a boomer. Congratulations to me for literally just defining millennials. Okay. What is going on today? We all neurodivergent here? Yes. There's also a female version to the podcast accent, which is also American, but I don't know how to describe it. That's so interesting. What the heck? We believe in you, thank you. Go get your coffee. It's too late for coffee. I can't have coffee. I won't sleep. I can't have that. Maybe green tea. If I'm really desperate, maybe green tea. Thank you for the hydrate, Dave. I would drink some more water. I'm struggling. It's fine. We'll get there. This is what happens when I've been staring at a JSON file all day, because like this survey software that I'm using is just entirely done through JSON file. And like I've literally just been editing the parameters on it literally all day, and I can't function anymore. And once I've done the stream, I have to go back to editing my JSON file. Oh, what a life I lead. Any mistakes of the English language are made out of pure hatred and disrespect for this language. The English have taken enough from this world. I will not let them have my tongue as well. Valid. But then again, Aristotle was wrong on everything. That's funny. I think it does sound like a Buddhist concept of karma, though. It kind of does, doesn't it? A little bit. Or maybe not karma. Does it sound like karma? I guess karma would be like what you do. Yeah, no, I guess yeah, because karma is like what you do defines your karma, and then that just basically just keeps going in a cycle, isn't it? That's my kind of... I did theology once, and I studied this, and I can't remember very much. It was a long time ago. Oh. It was a very long time ago. Goodness gracious. I don't like thinking about that. I'm excellent at watching VTubers then. Same. Actually, I'm not even that at the minute. That's the thing. I keep seeing streams that I want to watch and I don't even manage to catch them because I'm just sat there with my JSON file. It's really sad because I can't have stuff in the background while I'm working. I get too distracted. Bro, get out of my head. You can't just pull that quote one day after I start reading Atomic Habits. I'm sorry. It's not me. It's the mindfulness cards, which you can get a pack of for just $24.99. Link in bio. For the advertising standards agency, that was a joke. I don't actually have an affiliate link. That's a joke. Please don't sue me. I found out the other day that like there's a whole regulator that I have to, there's like rules that I'm meant to be following when I either endorse products or joke about endorsing products. That was very stressful to find out. But it's fine. It's fine. Oh, Buddhistic karma, not Hindu karma. I can't remember the difference. This is so bad. I literally did an entire module specifically about like comparing Hinduism and Buddhism and like the key concepts of each. And I remember I wrote an entire 5,000 word essay specifically about that. I think it was even specifically about karma, and I just don't remember. I don't remember. Hi, Richard. Welcome in. Did you just call me a sausage? Yes. I'm good, thank you. How are you? Jason is too needy. So true. So true. You need to install and use JCV. What is that? I don't know what that is. Oh, essentially it's an interactive viewer for Jason using JQ for filtering. That sounds nice. Yeah, because I was just editing it directly in VS Code, like without any plugins, and it was painful. When I see a stream I want to watch, I go to the rules first. Thing I see is 18 plus. I'm like, oh no, yes, that's sad. That's very sad. I can't relate. Sorry, I can't relate. Oh, to be on the internet in spaces where you shouldn't be. Don't do that. That's not good. That's not good. Don't do that. Thankfully, this stream is not 18 plus. We are inclusive. Essentially it's an interactive. Oh wait, no, I read that already. More brain. That is interesting. Might be useful to me in the future. Yeah. Z is better than VS Code. I don't know what Z is. I'm not even. I don't know. I don't know. Is there even Z for Windows? I don't know. I don't know anymore. You doing okay? I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. VS Code is not good for very big files. It's so painful. It's so painful. But like a lot of what I was doing, I just needed to find and replace because it was literally just like, oh, I need to duplicate these variables. Okay, this entire like page structure, I need to duplicate it and just change one thing in the naming scheme. Okay, find and replace. That's all I needed to do, so it worked. But it's still like, ugh. I'm nearly done though. I'm very, very close to finishing this survey, and then I will be able to have data, and that will be nice. Very good, very good. There's a code editor with way better performance. I see. Okay, so what is it, lightweight? Vim is better than VS Code. I use VS Code. That's my approach. I know Vim being like the thing that everyone's like, I use Vim, by the way. And then it's like, nah. Like, you have to learn how to do things on your keyboard. I don't have time for that. I'm just using VS Code. Hi, Lucky Luna. Welcome in. I just use a text viewer that highlights syntax words. That's very stressful. That stresses me out. When I was younger, I used to do coding literally just in Notepad. And like looking back, I'm like, wow, that's cursed. That's cursed. Hi, Fi, welcome in. How very kind of you to delay starting until I got out of work. Very cool. Yes, this was done on purpose, definitely. Yes, yes. Definitely not because I'm terrible at time management. Yes, yes, yes. Oh dear. Code at the speed of thought. Zed's high performance multiplayer editor, code editor from the creators of Atom and Tree Sister. These are words. Yes. You could have asked Husmod for help. I do ask him for help regularly, actually. But then sometimes I want to work stuff out myself, because for me that's a better way to learn. They say learn to use the Unix text processing programs. I probably did too, but I don't know what they are. It's been a while since I've used anything Unix-based, so yeah. But I have swapped my laptop back into it for when I go to campus, so that's exciting. Because definitely not because my laptop kept crashing every time I booted up Windows. It's quite an old laptop. Yes. Time to install Linux. Yes. No. Yeah, I actually would love to, but yeah, streaming. You can stream from Linux completely fine, but I tried looking into it, and from what I understood, there's a bit of compatibility issues, specifically with VTubing stuff, so like face tracking and things. I might be wrong, but that was my very surface level understanding. I didn't look into it very hard because I don't really feel the need to switch again, to be honest. I probably will switch my work like system back to being Linux again at some point, but right now it's like I've got too many things on my mind, you know. I just need things to work. I just need it to work. I think OBS is well supported. It very much is, yes. VTuber software, not so much. Yeah. Yeah, that's my my understanding of it. What application do I use for face tracking? I use VC Face. Sorry for the immersion break. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't use any face tracking. I'm just real. This is what I look like. I'm a face cam streamer, guys. Hi, Danktown Bunny. Welcome in. There's a ton of VTubers running on Linux, so there must be some way to do it. There absolutely is. And if I was like smart, I would just like DM somebody who I know is using it, because I know a few people who I know for a fact are using it, but I don't, like I said, it's just time in it. It's time capacity. Gotta dip out, no problem. Thank you for dropping by, Richard. I hope you, whatever you're doing, I hope it goes well. Quack, yes, quack. Imagine being smart, couldn't be me, same. I'm not smart, I just work too hard. I think that's an accurate thing to say, to be honest. I don't feel smart. When people talk and I'm like, ooh, brain, interesting. Yes. And then I go away and then I write things down and then I Google things and I'm like, oh, maybe not brain. This is how I do critical thinking. This is an accurate description of how I do critical thinking. You're automatically smart when you put on the lab coat. So true. No, it's to trick people. It's to trick people into thinking I'm smart. It's like, I just need to get glasses. That's the next step, is to get glasses and then everyone will think I'm smart. Apparently Steam can run VTubing app just fine. I don't use VTube Studio though. I use VC Face and I don't know if it has Linux support. So yeah, don't know. I'm an intelligence abolitionist. Understandable. Completely understandable. Okay, should we actually do the paper now? Hi Bobo, welcome in. VC Face, yes. It functions. It does the things that I need it to do. I have a fairly basic VTuber setup, so it does the things. Do psych labs even have lab coats? Genuine question. Depends on the type of psychology you're doing. If you're doing work with animals, then yes. If you're doing work which involves making people think that you are in a position of authority, then yes. Otherwise, no, absolutely not. In fact, my department actively encourages us to not wear them for just standard like psychology, as in like social or cognitive or developmental psychology, where you're just bringing in people into like a, when I say a lab, it's just a room. You bring people into a room and get them to do tasks and get them to fill out questionnaires. If you're doing that, then actively no, because the lab coat can kind of create a what's the best way to describe this? There's a power imbalance between the researcher and the participant, and if you put a lab coat on, it makes that very obvious to the participant, and they tend to behave in less natural ways. So when we're running studies with participants, we're actually encouraged to wear just like casual clothing. So like even if we would normally dress smarter for like teaching, for example, or a conference, we're actively encouraged to dress down when we're working with participants. So yeah, the lab coat thing is literally just like, I wanted it as a design motif. Like I don't even have one. I don't have one. There are no OSHA hazards. There's nothing. Unless like for some reason I'm working with an animal, in which case I might be asked to wear it, but even then, like my university's not super strict with that if you're doing behavior stuff. More just to protect your clothes than anything else. Lab coat to project authority. Exactly. The good thing with Linux is that Wine is surprisingly good at running Windows programs. It is very good at that now, isn't it? I swear it just keeps getting better as well. But yeah, I'm just I can't be bothered with it at the minute. I just don't have the brain capacity to swap over. I actually told my other social server I'm in that I'd give them my thoughts on the paper I sent yesterday to you all today. Thankfully the server's dead, so I'll probably do it tomorrow. Yeah. I mean, if people aren't asking, then there's probably no rush. That's my general approach to life, is when people message me and say, hey, how's the thing? Where's the thing? Then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get that to you. That's my approach to life at the minute. I used to be on top of things, but I'm not at the minute. I'm not at the minute. It's quite sad. If I have to listen to the boss person, and if I answer wrong, I will be punished. Exactly. That's exactly why to wear a lab coat, is if they want them to think that. Oh, noises. Sorry. Apologies. Okay. The lab coat's so boring. Oh, I know it's sarcasm, but it still hurts. I gave mine to a freshman who needed it. That's very nice. I like that. We love sharing equipment. Scientists in the wild remove their lab coats to show that they're not a threat to you. This is a lie designed to dull your sense of danger. It's actually so true. We actually do. We actually do. But then the funny thing is that if we're doing science communication to the public, like at an event where we need to project the fact that we're a scientist, we're then encouraged to wear one. So like I know a bunch of people who have done like a science communication in-person event recently, and they were literally told by the event organizers, here, put this lab coat on. It's really funny. Very funny. Yes. I had a professor that wore a lab coat to the computer lab. Like, bro, why? What's the point? What's the point? Sincerely, thanks, Valve. Yes, shout out to Valve for making Linux suddenly a bit more popular. That's very, very cool. Thank you, lads. People do respect a uniform. They do. They certainly do. My personal coat has a mandarin collar and is really thick. I'm trying to picture what that means and I can't. My basic ones are just normal. I feel like I should get a custom, like in real life, I feel like I should get a custom Psydere one. Obviously, it would not be OSHA compliant because of the long dangly sleeves, but I feel like I want to. Like, there's part of me that is like, permission that at some point. But I think that will be a when I have a full-time job and money situation rather than anything that I would do anytime soon. Yeah. My lab coat saved me from when an old flask of, oh wait, NaOH, is that sodium? I don't know what it is. I don't know what that is. Something bad, I assume, broke while I was holding it. That is terrifying. The worst thing that I ever did. I stopped doing anything wet lab related after high school because I was told to, because I'm very clumsy. I had a lot of bad situations happen because of it. The worst one being that I accidentally almost well, I accidentally poured some very, 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 very concentrated acid. I forgot the name of it. Hydrochloric acid, that one, down the sink directly. It melted the sink, and it also released a massive plume of chlorine gas, and we had to evacuate the lab. And then it got cleared. They fumigated the lab, and we went back in. And then I went in and started using the equipment. Can't remember what, and it literally just smashed. Like I was just holding it, and it just smashed in front of me. And I can't remember what was in that, but something highly corrosive again. And then they were like, maybe you should just not anymore. Maybe you should just leave. And I was like, but I need to pass my practical. So then they let me do it, but I had to be supervised by the teacher. No, not the teacher, sorry. It was by a lab technician. Because we were like this is the worst part. We were borrowing the lab, like because we didn't have the facilities to do it in our school, so we went to a university's lab to do this experiment, like in their undergraduate teaching labs. And yeah, the lab technician had to like observe me. It was very stressful. Was the sink declogged? I don't know, because it was not our sink. I don't know. Sometimes old Pyrex will just bottom out if it has been autoclaved a lot. That's terrifying. That's actually terrifying. Oh my gosh. That's an r/labrats post. Oh, I know. The whole thing. This is why I'm not trusted. I'm not trusted in the wet lab anymore. I'm not allowed. I've been banned from all wet labs within a 100-mile radius. But yeah, that's why I did psychology. The funniest thing is though, is that after I did that, after I caused all of these problems, then the school's careers advisor was like, hey, you should definitely consider a career in dentistry. And I was like, I'm clumsy. And they were like, that's okay, you'll grow out of it. So yeah, that was a thing. We made chlorine gas in cooking class while cleaning up the place. Like, it wasn't much, so we just ventilated it and left. I think everybody's had that experience at some point, to be fair. I've certainly accidentally made chlorine gas out of bleach just by cleaning once. It does happen. But no, this was like a full-on like visible cloud of chlorine gas, so it was very stressful. Very stressful. 150 out of 300. Nice. Go, go, go. You're making good progress. At the time, did you knew that you were neurodivergent? No, I didn't. I didn't get diagnosed until I was like 22, I think. Something like that. So, yeah. I went through my entire school time not knowing and being like, why do things keep breaking in my hand? Why does nobody want to talk to me? Why do I sit with people and I don't understand what's happening? Why am I really obsessed with Pokemon? Everyone else goes out and does social things and I'm collecting Pokemon IV information. What's going on? The signs were there. It's just, I think I'm just from like the cutoff generation where they didn't realize that like girls could be autistic, basically. I think that was the problem. So because when I got diagnosed, the psychologist that diagnosed me was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Chief, like based on all of the conversations that I've had with your relatives and friends and, you know, observing you and doing the standardized testing and looking at your records, you have like the most like textbook case of Asperger's syndrome I've ever seen. But this was like literally just as they changed it. So he gave me a kind of more general like autism diagnosis instead. So that was quite funny. And he was like, I honestly think that they've just missed it because you're a girl. So yeah. But like the gender bias in terms of like historic autism diagnoses is something that I could be ranting about for a while, and I should probably do a stream on it at some point because that'd be quite interesting. But yeah. Yeah. I tried with, it didn't work, the VC face. I tried with both Proton in stream, in Steam even, and with my own wine thingy, which added a lot of stuff. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. Got further with the wine thing, but it didn't work. Yeah, I think it was set up in a very specific way. Sometimes it just doesn't work for no reason on Windows as well, so yeah, it's probably better that it was visible. That's true, because at least we knew it was coming. We knew the chlorine was approaching, so we managed to run away. Everyone makes poison sometimes. This is true. This is true. It's probably harder for girls to be diagnosed on the spectrum. It's getting easier now. It's a lot easier now. But yeah, there was a long period of like most of the 90s and 2000s and honestly half of the 2010s where like it was just like there was a lot of advocacy being done by parents of autistic girls being like, hello, like this is a thing. Because at the time there was like this belief that basically the gender skew was something ridiculous, like 20 boys to 1 girl, and they thought that like it was like autism was linked to gender or biological sex somehow, and therefore girls just didn't have it as much. And then they started, you know, actually doing research and realized, hang on a second, there's just as many girls with the same symptoms, they're just expressed slightly differently. And basically the way that they were diagnosing it, the standardized tests, was very much skewed towards the way that boys would present. So like, for example, like if you're looking like a kind of classic autistic behavior is like collecting things. So it can be information or physical things. it was all like, I like collecting information about trains. I like collecting Legos. I like collecting video game characters, which were kind of more at the time, not so much the video game one, not so much anymore, but at the time, those were all very kind of like influenced by somebody's socialization linked to their gender, if that makes sense. So yeah, they're kind of like stereotypically boy stuff to do. Whereas girls would like, I don't know, maybe like a more stereotypically feminine thing would be like, I don't know, I like collecting makeup. I want like 17 different, I want all of the shades. I want all of the different variations of this one shade of purple. Every single company that does it, I want it, all of it. Because for me, there's a big difference and it's very important to understand what the differences are. Something like that. That might be like a kind of stereotypically feminine presentation of the same thing. For me, it was Pokemon. Yeah, I would like collect Pokemon and Pokemon cards and Pokemon merchandise. I had a very one-track mind. That and then like collecting information about psychology stuff. Like that was kind of there from a very young age as well. So yeah. But yeah, when the clinical psychologist was like looking at all of my files, he was like, "Oh." When did they get rid of when did they stop using the term Asperger's? This is a good question. I think it was in the DSM-5 they got rid of it. But basically it got merged into, like, there used to be kind of distinct sub-classifications of autism. So there was like autism and atypical autism and Asperger's syndrome and pervasive developmental disorder and something else. And they kind of all got merged together into an umbrella classification called autism spectrum condition. Yeah. I think that was in the DSM-5. Yes. But yeah, they kind of, because it kind of was meant to recognize the fact that like it's all one grouping, it's all one classification, but there are different presentations within the classifications, if that makes sense. But it was to try and make it more person-centered so that people's needs are actually being met rather than just like a checkbox based on the arbitrary classification they'd been given. That was the argument for it. But actually a lot of people were very upset about getting rid of Asperger's as a diagnosis. A lot of people really identified with it. I mean, I too had quite a textbook case and I'm male, but epilepsy risk absorbed my parents' attention span and never got a diagnosis. That's really ironic because like epilepsy and neurodivergence, but like especially autism is such a well-established co-occurrence that like my understanding is that now if somebody has epilepsy, they're automatically like checked for basically all of the neurodivergences as well. So that's really interesting that got overshadowed. I remember reading that the term was no longer being used, but I don't remember when. Yeah, I think it was the DSM-5. My bestie and lab mate is an autistic girlie and she had issues with diagnosing. We all knew, but she went to a really good school and they had funding, so the funding that they needed, so she automatically got the supports. That's really good. In theory, I went to a good school, but yeah, they were kind of like stuck in the, well, if you've got a problem, then it's probably just hormones and only boys get autism, so that's silly kind of mindset. Like it wasn't even raised as a possibility, even though like most of my friends were autistic. Like that in itself is that in itself says something. That in itself says something. Just remember that a lot of PhDs are on the spectrum, so the spectrum causes PhD. I actually feel like being autistic is actually really helpful for doing a PhD, because like the whole thing about doing a PhD is you get really obsessively absorbed into learning everything about one niche thing. And like I've been training my whole life for this, you know? Apparently wine and Lutris and OpenSea Face will get VC Face working. There's a Reddit thread about it. Oh, interesting. Interesting. That's very interesting. Collecting things as a symptom? Oh gosh, that explains my childhood. Yes, it is. I think it is weird because like when they explain things in the DSM, obviously it's aimed at clinicians, so clinicians are trained to understand what things mean. But like I think one of the broad like behavior groupings that's like there's like 3 key things that are used to diagnose autism spectrum condition, and one of them is what they call repetitive or restrictive behaviors, which is just a fancy way of saying you tend to kind of do things on repeat. And that can mean, you know, having a set routine for doing things, or it can mean like literally just repeating the same thing over and over again, like if you're talking, or watching the same thing over and over again. Like another thing is like kids, like watching the same film over and over again. Like all kids do it to some extent, but like autistic kids will watch the same film on repeat for like 3 years, you know? And it's like, what film do you want to watch? The same one again. Okay, no problem. But yeah, collecting things is another like expression of that. Yeah. VC Face hasn't been made for Linux, but OpenC Face, the face tracker, is open source and runs on Linux using Python. Oh, amazing. Nice. She didn't think she was autistic, and she was like, oh, this is normal. Everyone I know does this. Meanwhile, everyone she knows, oh, girly, you know who you hang out with, right? Yeah. That was kind of me. That was me. We realized that the lines were way more blurry than the classification implied. Yeah, exactly. I think it was more that like my understanding is that a lot of clinicians kind of knew that it was kind of blurry anyway, but the classifications themselves made people classify, if that makes sense. Like if we're presented a set of discrete categories, people have a tendency to just assign things to the categories and forget that there might be like a space in between or outside of the categories. So yeah, that's the thing. Same time they allowed double diagnosis of ADHD and ASD. Yeah, that was a thing that wasn't like, it wasn't possible for so long. And it like, they literally just explicitly was like, you cannot, like, it was a differential diagnosis. You were like, it was like, you're either autistic or you have ADHD. You can't be both, which is so interesting because like, they're not even opposites. Like, you know, both autistic people and ADHDers can have hyperfixation, for example. So like the symptoms literally overlap. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Isn't ADHD part of ASD too though? No, they are different. At least that's my understanding, is that they're still considered to be conceptually different. Most people that were diagnosed with Asperger's are now ASD level 1 or 2. Yes, I forgot about the levels. That's a thing. Hi, Zakia! Welcome in! Hi, Raiders! Hello. How are you doing? What were you up to? Oh my gosh, wait. Now I have to struggle with the shout out. Wait, give me a second. Wait. There we go. There you are. The raid! Hello, welcome in. How are you doing? How was your stream? How are you doing? Hello, Raiders. I'm Psydere. I'm doing science. In theory, we're just talking at the minute. I haven't actually read any of the science yet, so that's good. Yes, welcome to the yapping lab. Yes. But yeah, how are you doing, Zakia? How are you doing? I hope your stream went well. What were you streaming? If you need to, you know, take a break and chill, then absolutely do. You know, get up, stretch your legs, get some water if you need to. Please do that. Otherwise, you're always welcome to join the science stream. A raid for my favorite yapologist. Is that my thing now? Yapologist. Enjoy your lurk, Bobo. Oh, the lurk message was broken again. Excellent. I need to fix that. Enjoy your lurk. I hope your PT session goes well. I'm wearing a very comfy sweater right now. That's good. I'm glad. Me too, actually. Me too. This is actually a sweater. Sometimes I say things and then I'm like, that's immersion breaking. And then I'm like, does anyone actually care? Probably not. We all know that I'm not a magical girl. I'm a magical woman. The ad train. Oh, wait, is that ads? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it. They just exist. They just do their own thing. It's so painful. One of the reasons why they changed it is because it was named after a Nazi eugenicist. That's also my understanding. Yes. Yes. He at least collaborated with them in some way, but I think the specifics of it is debated. Okay, I think the ads are done now. Sorry about that. Goodness gracious, I'm so sorry. I tried to say it again. I'll try again. Hello, Zerkia. Welcome in. Thank you for the raid. You're finally back. Yes, success. Sorry about that. Twitch be twitching. Yeah, I hope you're good. How was your stream? What were you streaming? We're still in the yapping period of the set stream. Like, I brought up the paper to try and prompt myself to actually read it, and then I haven't got around to it yet. So, yeah. Yeah. That's where we are. Magical middle-aged salary woman. Exactly. That's exactly what I am. That's disturbingly accurate. Except I'm not even a salary woman because I'm not earning a salary at the minute. Well, I am, but it's not like a full-time one. So, yeah. University of Tokyo. Yes, they are at the University of Tokyo. You're right. You're right. That was part of the reason why I chose it, actually, because I was like, hey, Japan, let's read about a study that took place in Japan for once. That sounds fun. Since we've talked about weirdness previously, let's, you know, read some non-weird paper. Yes. You finished Epic Mickey. Nice. And played a bit of Enter the Gungeon? I feel bad because every time you say a new game, I'm like, I don't know what that is. But next stream will be a whole new game. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Very cool. We love that. Yeah, I hope it went well. I hope it went well. And yeah, thank you for the raid. If you need to take a break and, you know, stretch your legs, get some water, whatever, absolutely do it. Otherwise, you know, you are always welcome into the lab. You're always welcome here. So you can join us. There's a lot of stuff coming out from Japan about AI. Yeah, that's very true. I've seen quite a lot of stuff coming out from there. After posture and hydrate, redeem myself. Absolutely, you should do. I'm doing it right now. Imagine this is your posture and hydrate redeem. Yes. Speaking of which, I need to have some water too. And then let's start reading the paper because the ads are done. We've finished the ads. We've suffered through the ads. I apologize on behalf of myself. That's it. I have nothing else. Hydrate, thank you, Zerkia. Posture check. I'm sat up straight. I'm good. I'm good. Let's do it. Okay. Wait, okay, let me drink first. You want to do it for me now? Only fair. Thank you. Okay. I am hydrated. My posture is straight. The air conditioning is on and I am thriving. Let's read the paper. Let's do it. Having lentil soup. Nice, Shaun. I'm actually jealous. I love lentil soup. I love, love, love lentil soup. It's one of my favorites. Okay. Right. Today's paper. Narrative premiums. Okay, yeah, today's going to be a bad reading day, but we're going to try. Okay. So, today we're reading the paper, Narrative Premiums in Policy Persuasion by... Oh, I didn't think this through. By Keisuke Kawata and colleagues. Okay. Keisuke? I think I'm saying that right. Keisuke Kawata. Yes. Okay. So we're reading the paper. No, we're not. Excuse me, I'm trying to do my YouTube introduction. I apologize. This is cringe. So today we're reading the paper Narrative Premiums in Policy Persuasion by Keisuke Kawata and colleagues. It was published in Political Psychology, which is a very good journal It's a very good journal that kind of focuses on the intersection between political science and psychology. So often you'll see a lot of kind of social psychology orientated work in there, but with a political science twist on it. So yeah, that's what we're reading today. This paper was published this year in 2024. If you're watching on YouTube, it probably came out last year. Let's be honest. Hi, YouTube. But yeah, let's find out what's going on with this paper. Let's find out what they did. Wow, it was funded by the Japan Society for the Promotion of Sciences. Very cool, very cool. Et al, my beloved, yes. When I see et al, I keep thinking et tu, Brutus. I can see that, actually. That's funny. I think one of them is short for something. Either et or al. I think it's al. I don't remember what, though. Okay. Abstract time. Abstract. Okay. Survey experiments have shown mixed results about the effect of information provision on attitudes towards controversial policies. We argue that one reason is varied receptiveness to different modes of information. Prior research suggests that people... What? Prior research... Oh dear. Prior research suggests that people selectively ignore factual statistical information that contradicts prior beliefs, but are more attentive to narrative information that describes individual experiences. We test this in the context of Japanese attitudes towards poverty relief programs, which are less popular than other welfare expenditures. Using a conjoint survey, we show that there is a narrative premium. Respondents who are shown a narrative story about the plight of a single mother are more likely to support higher expenditures on poverty relief than those who are shown statistical information about the share of single parents living in poverty. This premium is particularly effective in strengthening the convictions of those who are already aware of levels of societal poverty. Okay. Cool. Okay. So, in short, actually, something we know from attitudes research and persuasion research generally is that narratives do tend to have a pretty strong influence. Like, we love stories. It's why so many charity adverts, like, you know, like those advertisements for charities, and they've often got either a little story running through it. So they'll be like, this is a child. The child is called Kenneth. There's a Kenneth up here. That's why I chose it. This child is called Kenneth. Kenneth is very sad because he cannot afford shoes. He has to walk around in his bare feet. And now he is very sad. Here's a close-up shot of his destroyed shoes. But with your input today, you can help children like Kenneth. Look, here's Kenneth when he had shoes. He was able to play football. Isn't that nice? And now he is very happy. So those kinds of things. It's like a little story. That's what I'm trying to say. There's like a small story running through the advert. And we know that this works. It happens also in other kinds of advertisements too. This is the best UNICEF ad I've ever seen. Yes. Kenneth does not have shoes. Kenneth is a VTuber. Feet? No. No. What did I walk into? I don't know, Nico. I'm sorry. I was doing a little UNICEF ad read because, yeah. Also, hi. How are you doing? I hope you're good. I hope you're good. I have no words. Yes. Kenneth McCormick. He owns a big orange jacket. Yes, exactly. I don't know who that is. Kenneth can't afford his V-Bucks, but with your help, he too can play Goku with a shotgun. Exactly. Exactly. Hi, Variona. Welcome in. Hi. Wait, you're Mistress Variona now. What? When did that happen? How are you doing? I hope you're good. I hope you're good. Also, hi, have a great stream. Unfortunately, can't stay and watch. No worries. Thank you so much for dropping in, Nico. Thank you. Whatever you're doing, I assume possibly going to bed. Or working. Sometimes I hear you working. Hear you talking about working sometimes in your streams. Yeah, whatever you're doing, I hope it goes well. Here you go. Shout out for you. Shout out for you. Actually, wait, no, I forgot. You've got a new co-working account. I've forgotten what it's called. I could have shouted that out. I'm sorry. Tell me the name. Tell me the username of the co-working account, and I'll do that a shout out when I can, when it cools down. Yes. I hate those emotional appeal ads. I know. I don't really like them either. I don't know either. South Park reference. Oh, okay, that makes sense now. Oh, yeah, of course. Yes, Kenny. Yes, orange coat. That makes sense now. Okay. The story's working. Now I want to donate to Kenneth. Yes, exactly. Hi, Multipazzle. Welcome in. How you doing? I hope you're good. Yesterday. You changed it yesterday. Okay, that explains why I hadn't spotted it yet. That makes sense. PhD studies. Okay, thank you. I will shout that out as soon as it cools down. I don't know how long it takes. Don't shout out, main. Okay, sorry. You can have both. You're gonna go to sleep? Thank you for dropping by, Tayu. Thank you, thank you. I hope you have a good sleep. I hope you have a good evening. Thank you for joining us. You're all right? I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. I'm just going around confusing everyone. I wasn't confused because, okay, I'd be confused if you turned up in chat and your name was like, I don't know, just something totally different. Like, your name was Kenneth. That would make me confused. At least I can understand the transition with this. My cats are cuter than your dog. Wait, one is throwing up. Never mind. Valid. Valid. Oh, wait. My dog is very cute. I mean, I think every dog is cute in its own way. Yeah, go Bella. Exactly. That would confuse me. Did you know that Bertrand Russell was a womanizer? That's a name I recognize, but I've forgotten who that is. I've forgotten who that is. It probably doesn't say good things about me. Anyway, paper. Let's moving on. So we've read the abstract. So it seems like they're doing a specific type of survey methodology, and they're finding that telling a story is a good way to convince people that this policy is good, but especially if they already think that the policy is useful. I'm assuming that's what it means in terms of aware of levels of societal poverty. Like if you're aware and you're knowledgeable, then you probably think it's a little bit more important. Or if you think it's important, then you're more likely to educate yourself. Could be either way around. Could be both at the same time. So yeah, I think there might be a little bit of like narrative is a good method of persuasion, and a little bit of not confirmation bias, but potentially related, possibly. Yes. Bertrand Russell was a mathematician notorious for taking 200 pages to demonstrate that 1 + 1 = 2. Why? I can't. Did he get paid for this? Did Bertrand Russell get paid for that? Because if so, that makes me annoyed. How come I can't get funding for my research and this person got funding for 200 pages to demonstrate that 1 + 1 = 2? What? No, I'm sure it was very important and impactful. He wanted to make a better basis for mathematics. It's 200 pages of logic. Good lord. Okay. I will never read it, probably. It's, yes, very hard work. Possibly too much work for me. My brain is smooth and my maths is empty. It could be both at the same time, or it could be a secret third thing. Yeah, exactly. It could be. I love the secret third thing. We love extraneous variables. They're always potentially there, and yet we tend to forget about them. Even scientists tend to forget about them. Remember what I said about presenting categories and then forgetting about things outside of the categories? Yes. You got Centre for Open Science mail? Nice. It was also made in vain by Gödel's incompleteness theorem. This is just words to me now. I'm sorry. I'll be more impressed if he wrote 200 pages for 1 + 1 = 11. Yes. That I would read. That would be good. Okay, right, paper. So, introduction. I know what they're going to say. I never know what they're going to say. One day I will read the paper before I talk about it, but we're not there. We're learning as we go together. I don't know what's happening. Okay, right. So, Code will be like, nice 200 pages you got there. Be a shame if someone disproves your goal. Oh my gosh. That must have been brutal. I would actually cry if that happened to me. That must have been brutal. I wouldn't say it was in vain. It just kind of failed as a complete and consistent basis for maths. There was an attempt, basically, and we appreciate triers. Okay, right. No, the paper. Stop distracting me with the Bertrand Russell. Okay, right. Okay. So, okay, paper. Wait, I need water. I drink and then we paper. There's a link to a paper about the successes of publishing null results. Nothing else too interesting. Some more webinars. Oh, okay. To be fair, I've probably got the same mailing list thing, so I will probably see it tomorrow when I open up my emails. Love the math wars over sets and incompleteness. Conversations got so heated at the time. That's so fun. I love academic beef. It's my favorite thing ever. Academic beef is just something else because it's like a new level of petty that you've never experienced before. It's very, very cool. Essentially, Bertrand wanted a system to prove any theorem from first principles. Gödel demonstrated that it was impossible no matter the axiom chosen. There are theorems that cannot be proven either true or false. Oof. So his 200-page magnum opus was in vain. Oof. Like I said, we love a trier. He tried. Okay. So, right, paper. Democratic governments. No, not failed on the first word. Brilliant. Democratic governments have greatly expanded their provision of public goods since the 20th century. Public education systems have improved labour force productivity. Public work projects have reduced transportation and communication costs. And public health insurance has ameliorated the individual risks and costs of illnesses. However, one program that remains controversial is poverty relief, such as direct cash transfers and food assistance to low-income families. While few politicians or voters openly support destitution, programs designed to alleviate poverty are designed on substantive and normative grounds. Okay, before we do that, right, do we all know what poverty relief type of programs are? So direct cash transfer is when you literally just give people money. So in the case of I don't know, say I mean I know the UK. The UK has like all sorts of state welfare where if, for example, you're made unemployed, then they will the state will pay you a certain amount a week to make sure you don't just like, you know, starve to death. And food assistance, that's things like food stamps and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, this is a thing in a lot of developed countries. Most of them, I would say, even possibly to some extent or another, all of them. Not so much in low and middle income countries. My understanding is that there's a lot more, obviously they just don't have the resources often to do it. So there's more reliance on like philanthropy and stuff like that. But often they would do the same thing, you know, they would still do things like direct cash transfers or provide food assistance. Yes. Okay. Is type of theory still useful today? Okay. Well, it wasn't all in vain then, that's good. To be fair, his work was the basis of modern functional programming. Okay, so it definitely wasn't in vain. That's good. That's good. I drink and then we paper. Sounds like a battle cry of publish or perish. Yeah, that's true, actually. That is true. That's just like every Irish university department. We drink and then we paper. Can say this from actual experience. This is an actual thing. I have witnessed some of my colleagues go to the pub before like afternoon journal club or something like that. And it's normally not intended. It's just like a, you know, you plan something and then suddenly the department throws something in your calendar and you're like, oh no, I meant to be going out for lunch and drinks. Oh, that's fine. We'll just have the drinks anyway. I don't know if universities are like this outside of Ireland or if this is an Ireland thing. This is not helping the stereotypes though, is it? It's not helping the stereotypes. I feel like this is probably also a thing in England. I wouldn't be surprised. Also, can I just say, academic conferences where they have a wine reception, they are an experience. Academics are, yeah. Yeah. That's an experience. I guess there are many people responsible for modern functional programming. Yes. I mean, yeah, stuff like that is always like, you know, layers of work done. University and cheap alcohol go hand in hand. This is true. University and then getting your alcohol written off as a grant expense. That goes hand in hand. Okay. Right, okay. First, poverty relief. Yes, okay. Right, so first, poverty relief. Okay, no, let's start this bit again. While few politicians or voters openly support destitution, programs designed to alleviate poverty are disputed on substantive and normative grounds. First, poverty relief may distort market incentives by disincentivizing labour. So basically they're worried that if you know, give people money, then they will not want to work anymore. Second, there may be concerns that people are cheating the system to receive unwarranted benefits or that politicians are manipulating funds to reward supporters. So yeah, corruption, or what in the UK is called benefit fraud. It's called benefit fraud, which is claiming state support that you're not entitled to by pretending that you are. Yeah. Third, because poverty relief is inherently targeted to poorer citizens, perceptions of who quote unquote deserves help may be intertwined with negative stereotypes, such as those with lower socio. The reading is not good today, is it? Third, because poverty relief is inherently targeted to poorer citizens, perceptions of who quote-unquote deserves help may become intertwined with negative stereotypes about those with lower socioeconomic status, such as black welfare queens in the US, or immigrants who take advantage of those generous welfare provisions in wealthier countries. Yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes around that, isn't there? I think whatever country that you're in, if you're in a developed country, you know one of those stereotypes. These biases can influence the very design of poverty relief programs, including stringent means testing and political shaming of the poor. Yes. Again, very much a thing. Like, the UK is very well known for having headlines that kind of say, that do the shaming, either coming directly from the politicians or like from the actual media outlets themselves. Yes. How can you write papers without mind-altering substances? This is a good question. I actually do. I mean, to be fair, I'm like, my mind is altered by default, so maybe that's how I just do it. Alan Turing was the name I forgot. Yes, that's valid. Yes. Alan Turing did a lot. Oh no, is our minimum wage maximum paying work is competing with doing absolutely nothing. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there comes a point where, like, I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? Because I must say, if I was just like given money, I wouldn't be inclined to go and say, for example, work in a shop. But then I'm not inclined to go work in a shop anyway. If I was like told, hey, like if there was like a universal basic income type of situation where I was just given money, then I would be like, I'm going to, I don't know, start a business or do creative stuff or do research on my own time and publish stuff, like desk-based research or something. Like, and yeah, it's difficult because, you know, we have evidence and the evidence is very mixed. So it's really difficult to balance out all of this stuff. Okay, one issue that may drive such apprehensions is misperceptions of the demographic profiles of beneficiaries. While the causes of poverty are complex, one group that comprises a large share of the poor is single-parent households with small children. This is a subpopulation for which many citizens have some sympathy, and awareness of their plight might increase public support for expanding poverty relief. However, correcting public misperceptions is easier said than done. That's very true. It is very much easier said than done. I like the fact that I genuinely didn't read the abstract for this paper. I was like, oh yes, this is just Creative Commons. I can read it on stream, and this sounds like vaguely interesting and useful research, so let's do it. And it's not weird. It's not weird. Yeah. And I love how I was like, oh yeah, you know, Japan sample, sure, that sounds interesting. And it's just instantly going into like like Japan's public policies at the minute because their population is they're basically the population declining. They've got real issues with it. So the population is getting older because people are living for longer, but also people are not having as many children. I have a feeling that this paper might be specifically targeting policies around single parent households with small children for that reason. It's very culturally relevant in a way. Yeah. That's interesting. To be fair, we already saw the result of that from the pandemic stimulus. A lot of people turned their hobbies into small businesses. That is very true. That is very true. People became really creative. Yeah. Like, I know loads of people that basically just started doing freelance work or started doing baking or art, like stuff that they've always wanted to do when they were put on furlough. And it's kind of sad because obviously then they went back to work. But the UK's been really interesting because I think from the stats I've seen, the UK had one of the worst rates of people returning to work after the pandemic restrictions eased. So like other countries, like, I don't know, say for example, let's say that there was, I don't know, 85% of people were working pre-pandemic, and then it would drop down to, I don't know, say potentially 70% during pandemic restrictions, and then afterwards it bounced back up to 85%. My understanding is that the UK, these are arbitrary numbers, by the way, I'm just using this as an example. My understanding is that the UK didn't bounce back, it like stayed low. And I find that really, really interesting. It's almost like, I don't know why. I have suspicions as to why. I think it's probably partially like a healthcare thing. A lot of people have like registered as being disabled or long-term sick now, and I think that's because of the UK's health system is not coping very well. It wasn't coping well before the pandemic, and the pandemic absolutely gutted it. So yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was like an extra slither of people who were also just like, why? Like, why would I go back? That doesn't make any sense. Maybe you could try to pay more. This is my like main core like thinking about stuff, right? Is that like, if you want people to do the job, just like pay them properly. I know it's because it's not in business interests a lot of the time, but yeah. You get 1,000 every month for having autism? What the heck? I don't get autism money. How do I get autism money? I tried to get autism money and they were like, you're not disabled enough. They were like, how can you be disabled if you're doing a degree? I wish I was joking. The government actually told me that. I wish I was joking. That was in England though. I don't know if I'd have a better job here. Black welfare queens in the US is sending me. Black people are poor here because of systemic racism. Yeah, I think that's what they're saying though. That's what they're saying, is that like the socio-economic system, because these programs are specifically designed to help people who are like in a worse place socioeconomically, if there's additional pressures on top of that reinforce that, then the stereotypes are going to become interlinked, if that makes sense. That's kind of what they're saying, I think. I think Twitch should make Markdown work in chat. That'd be fun. That'd be very fun. I've seen bold and italic text in chat before. There's definitely some way to do it. Maybe it's like an add-on or something, like a browser add-on. I don't know. Almost as though Brexit was the worst idea the Englishman ever had. Look, I have no opinion. I'm not in England. Can you elaborate on what your point is? Oh, okay. Wait. Okay. The police of the policy of just letting COVID spread might not have been good. Yeah, I'm not. It's difficult, isn't it? I think the issue was that like. So letting my understanding, I'm obviously not a like infectious disease expert, so please don't quote me on this, but my vague understanding is that it's okay to let a disease spread in the population if you know what the disease is going to do. So if it's something that you've been monitoring for a very, very long time and hasn't mutated very much, and you know what, like for example, the risk of long-term disability from contracting it is, then herd immunity makes sense. So like the UK still uses herd immunity for chickenpox, for example. Like kids in the UK don't get chickenpox vaccinations; they just catch it, and that is because they just established that makes more sense. My understanding is that doesn't make sense, and it's actually very outdated information. But it's an example. Whereas with COVID, they kind of jumped to the assumption, okay, let's just do, herd immunity, without actually understanding what the long-term impacts would be, because at the time it was a very, very new virus. So yeah, that's a thing. Tried getting autism money, but they discouraged me because Italian ableism. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, to be fair, I think that's what I experienced too. You could actually make a TTS and or STS model with your voice, though that might be weird. You say that once we raided into somebody, I think, who was doing that with their own voice. That would be interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I have to think about it. There's definitely the training material out there, that's for certain. I mean, it's probably going to happen at some point. I've just accepted that, but yeah. American cities bulldoze populous, prosperous back communities to make interstate highways through cities. Yeah, the US is, yeah. I mean, I can't judge because obviously, like, every country has its issues, and the US is, yes, largely centered around that, from what I understand. Obviously, Europe. Europe. Yeah. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And it's really important, like with these kinds of things, to consider the multiple layers that can be going on there. Obviously, this is Japan, so they don't have the like the racialized element, because they just see everybody largely in Japan as the same race. Like, I mean, I know that that's changing now quite significantly, but I'm guessing, you know, when they collected the data for this, it might have still been leaning that way, because I assume they probably collected data for this during the pandemic, just given the timeline of when it was first accepted. But yeah. Yeah. I've never used a service where you have to upload your voice and they could do anything with it. That's the thing that scares me. That's the reason why I refuse to like no. That's the reason why I refuse to use any like, you know, like genetics testing stuff, is for the same thing. It's like I'm interested in knowing the results. I'm interested in seeing the data, but I don't want the company to have it because I don't trust them not to leak it, first of all. And I also don't trust them not to do nefarious things with it eventually, because, I mean, look at all of the social media companies, right? All of them were like, yes, upload your photos. This is excellent. I swear, we're trustworthy. And then all of them are like, by the way, we're now training AI on your photos. So, yeah. Yeah. I just like training my own stuffs anyway. I want to run it locally. Yeah, that's fair enough. You're always welcome to experiment locally. I think 23andMe and Leak, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. Oh gosh, that's literally my worst nightmare. How much of your data did I How much of our data did you sell so far? Not that much, I swear. Not that much. Only whatever you're giving to Twitch, technically. Whatever you've opted into sharing with Twitch, that's what's being given out to Twitch. I guess technically, by using the platform. 23andMe stock is tanking so much, supposedly multiple groups are thinking of buying it just for the data. Yeah. But a crypto DAO group is making plans to buy it? That's terrifying. I don't like it. No, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of these developments. I would not like to have my genetics used for AI training. Thank you very much. An AI made of only Twitch chat messages would be terrifying. You know what? I feel like this chat would be fine, right? It's other people's chats that I don't trust. Depending on the creators you use, as like if whose communities you use for training data, it could either go very, very well or very, very, very badly. Isn't she called Neurosama? That's true. Neurosama's trained on Twitch data, isn't she? That's true. Can we get crowdfunding to buy it so nobody can get the data? If we all have the data, no one has it. That's so funny. Genetic syndrome. Oh wait, no, this is a thing. This is a parody somebody needs to make. Somebody needs to make an Incredibles parody where there is genetic syndrome, where he buys out all of the genetics companies and then is like, if everybody has the genetics data, no one does. Brilliant. There you go. It writes itself. Oh dear. Okay, right. Paper. Oh, it's fruitful because of management issues. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. Came back to mad science. You certainly did. You certainly did. Yes. The management issues doesn't give me confidence that the data won't eventually leak. Because, like, if management aren't on the ball, how do you expect the people managing data policies to also be on the ball? I don't like that. I don't like that. I think Linus from Linus Tech Tips was trying to convince his mum not to do 23andMe, and she did, and now 50% of his genetics are out there on the web. I hate that so much. Ugh, that's my worst nightmare. I read this like, okay. Hear me out. I read this like science fiction crime novel once. This was like one of those things where it was just available in the library, because I've got like one of those like library e-reader integration app things, right? So I just borrowed a random book from the library because it was at the top of the list and it sounded vaguely interesting, right? And the whole premise of the book was like, there was a genetics company that was selling data off to third-party labs, but it wasn't vetting the labs. And one of the labs was doing analysis on like people, like women specifically, women's genetics, to try and identify whether they would be risky, like risk takers, basically. It was trying to work out how likely they were to take risks. And then the ones that were genetically, based on the genetics, most likely to take risks, they were like put into a database, and then like men could pay to access it. It was very sus. Because the logic being, if they're higher risk takers, then they're more likely to do a range of things. So that was dystopian. That was a dystopian. That's just the premise of it, by the way. That whole premise is basically just covered in the first 2 chapters, and then the rest of it is like a crime novel where bad things happen, and then you're trying to work out who did it. So yeah, I'm sure you can work out roughly what happens. But yeah, that was a terrifying read. It was one of those ones where like, it was like, I don't know, this is like exactly in my niche of interests, how dare you? But I feel like it was also like, do you know when something is this like just scientifically inaccurate enough that it could be annoying, but you can overlook it because the premise is terrifying? That, it was like that. Because like, it's the behavioral genetics bit that I'm not convinced on. I'm not convinced that you could isolate genes that would you'd be able to, you know, identify someone's risk-taking behavior. My understanding of behavioral genetics is that that is not how it works. But I can overlook that, you know, minor detail, because, you know, the thing about doing backstreet analysis and putting it on a database and letting sussy people access it was believable. So yeah. Yeah. No, that is not how it works. Okay, good. The men just had to believe it for itself. That's true, actually. You could just lie, potentially. Don't do that. That's fraud. Yeah. Not being how it works would not stop weird gooners from actually wanting this database. That's so true. That's the worst part. That is actually true. I hate it. I hate it. Sounds like targeted ads or spearphishing to me. Yeah. Yeah. All of this gives me fear. My genetics mentor would be crying. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it was framed in terms of like likelihood, like based on the genetic profile, we have a rough approximation that we think that possibly these women might be higher chance to take risks. So the kind of nuancy bit was, I can't remember if it was actually communicated or if I just read between the lines to say that, but yeah. Supposedly some incel boys were reading about using a period tracker on their girlfriend who they like, or a girl that they like, to find out when they're in the mood. That's horrifying. Ooh. Yikes. What's cooler is that now we can use some glasses to see a ton of information about anyone we just look at. Oh yeah, I saw a video the other day that was also terrifying, which was like using, I think it was Google Glasses and facial recognition technology, something like that. Yeah, that was scary. Fraud for selling men access to women. I'd rather have it just be fraud. That's true, actually. That is true. I would rather it be fraud, but I would also just rather that this concept doesn't exist. Just imagine those labs were like third-rate labs funded by some MRA group and the rest of the science community simply ignored it. Yeah, I think the thing that made it also quite unbelievable was that it was some person that it was just doing it out of the garage, and like the dude just managed to get the equipment into his garage. That was less believable. I think the behavior genetics and then also the lack of understanding of like how funding works. Those were the two things that those were the two things that bothered me. You just summed up the crypto/dating coach schemes. Oh lord. Oh lord, that's true. Oh no. Oh, the meta classes. Ah, yeah, those are the ones. Those are the ones. Okay, right. Weird incel crime books aside. Okay. How long? Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break because I've run out of water and it's quite warm and I've been going for like an hour and almost 2 hours already. Goodness gracious. So yes, so I'm gonna BRB. I'm very, very sorry. There's gonna be ads, but it's so it gets it out the way. So that they're not bothering us when I'm actually reading. But yeah, I will be back very shortly. Hello, I return. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. Wait. Wah! What am I doing? There we go. Okay. Fixed. Fine. Cool. Hello. Hello. Side jam. We need to make that an emote. I can make that. I should make that at some point. I want to learn how to animate. That's one of my like things for the new year I want to learn. Oh gosh, you've been talking while I was gone. Yes. Lots of things. I am reading them. Soda stream. Yeah, okay, right. I'm not being funny, but carbonizing random things with a soda stream does seem very fun. Very, very tempting. Carbonized everything. Yeah, if it gets you drinking, then that's the most important thing. This is good. This is good. Okay. Right. So, paper. Let's read it. Let's read the paper because it's late and I have work tomorrow. I'm teaching tomorrow. I need to read this paper. Okay, and I've also got a survey to finish. It's not advised to carbonize anything other than water using a soda stream. Well, people do it anyway. Yummy, yummy. Carbonized Nando's sauce. No, don't do that. That's horrid. Okay. Right. Right. Where were we? I'm confused. Okay, yes. So, single mothers with young children. That's where we were at. This is a subpopulation for which many citizens have some sympathy and awareness of their plight and may increase public support for expanding poverty relief. However, correcting public misperceptions is easier said than done. While providing accurate information should update beliefs, there is mixed evidence about the effects of factual corrections on people's preferences. Nyhan attributes this to people's doubts about the trustworthiness of the information and their tendency to reject evidence or arguments that run counter to prior beliefs. That's part of it. There's also quite a lot of evidence that things like socialization and group identity can skew how you actually even interpret the information, like regardless of your prior beliefs. But, you know, group identity and prior beliefs tend to kind of go together. Yeah. This type of motivated reasoning is particularly strong for politically controversial issues where partisan claims are built on emotional appeals. This is very true. Motivated reasoning is just, well, yeah, it's the tendency to want to believe the thing that you already believe and to then interpret information in a way that matches your belief or matches your group membership or anything like that. And yes, it is indeed much more likely to happen where there is strong group-based opinions. And of course, politics are groups. They are social groups at the end of the day. Mustard was probably the worst war crime. What? Carbonized mustard? What? What? Have you tried carbonized mayo tea? No. 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 Please, not the mayo tea, please. I've suffered enough. I haven't done that by accident in a very long time now, you know. Now it's like the bigger danger is mixing up I've got like hand cream that looks like mayo. It's like it's literally in a mayo like pot. You know, like the squeezy mayonnaise pots, like tube things. It's in one of those and I can't explain why. And I'm always really worried that I'm going to put it in my sandwich or I'm going to put mayonnaise on my hands. Just like out of habit. I'm a mayo enthusiast. Yes, me too. I'm also a mayo enthusiast. I love Nando's Piri vegan mayonnaise. Yes. Label maker with big labels. What? I'm confused. What? I tasted like 12 different kinds. That's fair. That's fair. I think I've tried all of the types of like egg-free mayonnaise. I think I've genuinely tried all of them that you can get in Ireland. Oh, with big labels to keep you from eating your hand cream? That wouldn't stop me because I can't read. I keep them very, very far apart on opposite sides of the room and hope that that will prevent any automatic mayonnaising of my hands. But yes, I can't promise it. The meme. I tasted 12 different kinds. Well, like those YouTubers that are like, I tasted 12 different kinds of mayonnaise. I ate every item at Taco Bell. Apparently the way that British people say taco is really offensive. Not offensive, but just like wrong. Weird. We don't really have them. Not really a thing. The YouTuber with 30k subs. That's who you are now, Fi. You have no defining feature other than you are the YouTuber. Reminds me of one of my favorite Amaru Polka clips as she screams, I am the 300k sub YouTuber as she is ejected from the ship during Among Us. That's funny. Say taco again. Taco. To be fair, now that I'm saying it out loud, I think that I've actually been infected with the Irish a little bit. But yeah, British people are like, would you like to go to Taco Bell? Taco. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing like a fake British accent. I do question it sometimes. Husbando keeps like pointing out to me when I say things in a slightly more Irish way. It's terrible. I'm absorbing the accent. Give it 5 years and I won't be able to use the British tag anymore. Sounds normal to me, like like an English person pronouncing taco. Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then I've had Americans tell me like, why are you saying taco? You should say taco. That's how you say it. But I'm like, if I say taco, I just sound Australian. Like Taco Bell is the English way to say it. Taco Bell, that's definitely Australian. No way. I don't know which one's accurate though. Like, which one is the right way? I don't know. I don't know things. I'm just a small scientist. You saying taco in American is even more cursed than the British version. Like I'm saying, it sounds Australian. When I say taco, it comes out Australian. Yeah, mate. I'm going to Taco Bell. This is terrible. I should not attempt to do Australian accents. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. I don't think that there would be any Australians in chat because I think it's like 6 a.m. for them, so that's good. At least they can't hear me being offensive. Taco? What? Okay, right, is this actually a thing? Am I saying it weird? Taco, is that weird? As a Spanish native, we have less sounds. I heard a difference, but they both sound like taco. Okay, no. Taco, taco. That's the difference. Taco is English. Taco is American/Australian. Yeah, you say taco. Yeah. It's weird here, but not from a Brit. Yes. I mean, let's be honest, everything I say is weird. I don't even think I say British things right. Also, I've noticed I spend too much time on the internet and with international people because I have noticed small little Americanisms creeping in to my language. I don't say rubbish anymore. I say trash. Terrible. I don't say rubbish bin. I say trash. Trash. I'm taking it to the trash. Shameful. Taco. I don't know. I don't know if it's mirroring or if it's just exposure. To be fair, like I've noticed that like Irish accents and Irish like linguistic patterns, I think in a weird way they like I can tell that a lot of Irish people moved to the US because I can like now I live here and I see Irish like English all the time. I can see the influence, right? So like yeah, so like certain words I'll be like, to me it sounds really American, but like it's just normal Irish words. I don't know. It's strange. Hi Rick Sager, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. You have just consented to take part in the research. You're a participant now. You read the informed consent sheet, right? Welcome in. I hope you're enjoying the stream. Okay. Yes, paper, please. Yes, you're right, Yoavko. We should do the paper. I love being et al. Me too. I've only ever been et al. It's very sad. Okay. Right. Okay, no, seriously, let's do the paper. I know. Certain regions had a lot of Irish. Some had a strong German. Some had strong Italian. Yes. Yeah, it's more like words, specific words I can hear being very, very Irish sometimes now. Yes. But I think those are the ones that I've started using. So, yeah. Okay. One issue that may drive such apprehensions is misperceptions of the demographic profiles of beneficiaries. While the causes of poverty are complex, one group that comprises a large share of the poor is single-parent households with small children. This is a subpopulation which many citizens have some sympathy, and awareness of their plight may increase public support for expanding poverty relief. However, correcting public misperceptions is easier said than done. While providing accurate information should update beliefs, there is mixed evidence about the effect of factual corrections on people's preferences. Nyhan 2020 attributes this to people's doubts about the trustworthiness of the information and their tendency to reject evidence or arguments that run counter to their prior beliefs. This type of motivated reasoning is particularly strong for politically controversial issues where partisan claims are built on emotional appeals. Okay. This is not to say that beliefs are inelastic. A vibrant literature in the social sciences and public health has examined whether the persuasiveness of information changes with its mode of presentation. One noticeable distinction is between statistical information, which distills individual behaviour into one aggregate metric, and narrative information, which uses individual cases to illuminate broader social patterns. So I guess in the psychology realm of research, it's almost like doing, like survey or experimental research where you average over your conditions or you average over your survey, and then case studies. It's kind of like that. In a survey of the state of the field, Winterbottom and colleagues argue that narrative evidence influences decision-making more than statistical evidence, although studies disagree about why and to what extent. Yeah, my understanding is that in general, narratives like stories do tend to slightly have a stronger persuasive effect. But yeah, like they said, why and to what extent is mixed evidence. Generally, the general consensus is that if people are motivated to understand the issue, and if they have some kind of, so for example, maybe if it like personally affects them, then they might be slightly more inclined to listen to the kind of statistical information and to interpret it correctly, and considering all the nuance and stuff like that. But in general, people tend to lean more towards the narrative. Like, they have to have a reason to do it, basically. They have to have a reason to actually focus and also not be distracted. If you distract people, their attempts at processing their attempts at processing statistical information, it just falls apart. It gets quite difficult. Okay, in public health, DeWitt and colleagues demonstrate that narrative evidence is more effective than statistical evidence in making recipients aware of infection risks. In economics, Akerlof and Snower, Chatter and Lowenstein, and Schiller emphasize the role of narratives in decision-making, although they do not identify which elements of narratives are more persuasive than statistical evidence. Other studies find that the differences between the two modes are slight, or that the key is to combine both. I must say that, the information, the literature out there about narrative and statistical information as they're framing it, it's actually quite extensive. Very, very extensive. At least in Western context anyway. So there's this model, I say model, it's a group of models called the dual process models of persuasion, which basically argue that there's kind of two ways that information can be processed when it's attempting to persuade you. One is through, what's it called? I think it's direct cues. So that's stuff about, what's actually the argument, how logically robust it is, you know, whether the statistical information is coherent, stuff like that. So that the kind of like almost like analytical, like sciencey type of processing, if that makes sense. And then the other route is called peripheral processing. And that's more what you would do if you're not really paying attention or if you're not that interested. And it's more based on kind of just cues that kind of indicate to you whether or not you can trust this. So yeah, like who's talking to you? Are they charismatic? Do they have qualifications? Is what they're saying seeming very biased on the surface? Like, are they presenting both sides of the argument? Stuff like that. Also, how they're saying it, how they're presenting it. You can present the same information and just frame it slightly differently, and people will interpret it differently, which is quite interesting. But yeah, so that's a kind of broad overview of the dual process model of persuasion. It's very, very popular. I think the most popular one, I think, is what's it called? The elaboration likelihood model. For the life of me, I cannot remember who did it. I think Petty and Brignol. I want to say them. But yeah, that's one of the kind of like most widely used ones. It does have issues. It's, you know, quite. The thing about being a popular theory is that there's also a lot of criticism of it. So that's all out there if you're interested. But yeah, persuasion literature is really, really interesting, really expansive. Honestly, this little summary here isn't doing it justice. Like, they've just kind of picked a few random things and said, yeah, look, this is a thing across a broad range of things, definitely. I think it would have been more effective to rely on like a more kind of central theoretical model, because I don't know if they're going to introduce that later on, but sometimes it helps fairly early on to do that. I think this is probably one of those cases. Not sure. They might bring it up later. I trusted. I think Psy tells me don't do that. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't even trust anything that I say. Who am I? I'm not even a scientist. I'm just wearing a lab coat. Oh gosh. Okay. So, right. What do they say? Okay. This article draws on these studies to examine how the presentational mode of information can shape individual preferences about appropriate level of poverty relief funding. In doing so, we aim to contribute to the literatures on welfare, politics, social psychology, and communication. Our analysis is based on a conjoint survey experiment conducted in Japan. The pursuit of a broad middle-class society... should I try and say the Japanese word? No, I'm not going to. Shochuru? Shakai. Something like that. Shochuryu Shakai. I've probably butchered it. Has long been considered a core national value in Japan. I mean, I did it, but not well. Has long been considered a core national value in Japan, but poverty rates have increased rapidly since the 1990s, making it on par with most developed democracies. While debates about poverty and government programs cannot be fully separated from national contexts, Japanese discourse has not hinged on parallel debates about race or immigration, making its results easier to generalize across countries. That is true, because, you know, obviously in the US, it's very, you know, debates around welfare and poverty and stuff like that are very centered on race. In Europe, they're very centered on immigration. I think in Japan, because they haven't had particularly high rates of immigration historically, it does make it a bit easier to make that comparison. Of course, it is like, you know, kind of partialing it out a bit. Of course, that is not saying that race and immigration are not issues in Japan. They absolutely are. So, for example, there is like a big Chinese minority, there is a big Korean minority, and they have historically had some issues in like with how they're treated. Immigration also is obviously becoming a more of a hot topic, although my understanding is that Japanese people in general are actually quite pro-immigration, partially because of the demographics issues that they're facing. So yeah, that's my understanding of it. but I might be wrong. Hi, Elizabeth Domo, welcome in, welcome in. It's Miss Smart Person, press X to doubt. I'm just making it up as I go along. It's been a while. It has been. I'm good, thank you. I'm very tired all of the time because I am thesising. But otherwise I'm good. How are you? How have you been? Hi, Mad Shizzle, welcome in. When they say that poverty has increased to levels similar to other developed democracies, surely they don't mean absolute poverty, but relative poverty. That's a very good question. I have a sneaking suspicion that because this is a psychology paper, they haven't actually considered the difference. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. They're not specifying it. That's a very good question, and I would like the answer to it. Maybe we'll get it later on, but I somehow doubt it. Depends on gen and region. Yeah, that too. Yeah, so there is a big generational difference in terms of attitudes towards immigration in Japan, and also region, yes, very much so. Yes. I have been working a lot and finally have a day off to catch up with my shows. Nice. Oh, I hope you enjoy your day off. I love that. And, absolutely rest. That's so important. Like, this is quite ironic coming from me. But yes, if you're working a lot, you also need to rest occasionally. So it's good you're doing that. I have a weird question. Do you prefer downloading articles as PDFs to read them or reading them straight from the website? I prefer reading page by page. Yeah, I'm a PDF person. I'm definitely a PDF person, but for me it's more because I can load them into Zotero easier and then make annotations and automatically export those annotations. So it's just a workflow thing rather than a strict preference. Yeah. I think I could probably work fine with the website if I could find a way to do the annotations and have them automatically integrate, if that makes sense. But I don't know how to do that, so yeah, I just use the PDF. Hi, Leadball Racing, welcome in. Streaming at this hour, I know, it's terrible. I should go to bed. I have work tomorrow. I'm making a terrible mistake, but it's my fault. I started the stream late. I was an hour late. Whoopsie. Whoopsie. Oh dear. I have to print them out and hold them. Yeah, I used to, but then I've ended up having so many that I just physically couldn't. So yeah, and then also, like I said, the automatic annotation export as well is so useful. So I've kind of just given up. I can read books for hours, but staring at a monitor hurts after 20 to 40 minutes. See, I'm bad. I stare at a monitor for genuinely, I wish I was joking, probably about 14 hours of my day. So I think I'm just adjusted to it. Yeah. But to be fair, I do also have blue light filter, and I turn my brightness and contrast right down as well. So right now my settings are really low. I think, yeah, I'm I've got the light on and it's still 0% brightness and 50% contrast. So yeah, I set it down. How did you? Okay, Sean, I don't know how that worked. You just somehow got around the link banner. What the heck? How? What's your secret? Accident, I assume. I would do it if ink wasn't so expensive. That's the other thing. I get free printing though in my program, but I don't know. There just comes a point where I'm like, there's just too many things to read. I physically can't print them out. I'm still working. Nice. That's going to be me after stream going back to work. Pain. Luckily tomorrow I have no contractual obligations to wake up early. Nice. We love that. I also have no explicit contractual obligations to wake up super early, but I do have to be on campus to teach, at some point. So yeah, that's sad. The curse of working with computers. Yeah, 15 hours a day, pain. Libraries here have actually, it's really, to be honest, it's the pain of working with computers and then also having hobbies on computers. The two things together is probably not ideal. I don't move around enough, but I have decided it is time. I'm going to treat myself at some point in the next few months as a thesis submission present. I'm going to replace my desk finally. Because at the minute I have a very cheap desk. It is made of actual cardboard, And it is starting to make worrying creaking noises whenever anything moves on it. So I have a horrible feeling that if I kept using it for another year, it might actually collapse. Yeah, so I'm gonna replace it, and I'm gonna get a standing desk, and I'll be able to like stand up or walk even with a treadmill while I am working, and maybe I will finally become fit and healthy. Who knows? Who knows? I'm very excited. I don't know when this will happen though. Whenever I get a job, I assume. Whenever I'm actually working normal full-time hours, I assume that is when I will eventually replace my desk. And libraries here, any documents that doesn't have color in it can be printed for free. That's so good. That's so good. I love that. Yeah, here it's not free. Here, even at the university, you're paying wacky tuition fees and you still have to pay to print your stuff. So, yeah. Oh, the site links to nowhere, so probably that. That makes sense. That makes sense. Standing desk, best investment you can make. Good choice. Thank you. I'm very excited for it. I'm not gonna lie. My back is like, I've been sitting at my like PC in the same place most of my hours for a few months now, and I would quite like to, you know, have a range of postures again, and I'm very excited for that. And also it'd be, you know, I think it would be good for streaming as well, because I can stand up also while I'm streaming. So even more, I can be more movement orientated potentially. That's good. Your standing desk meme. Yes, that's gonna be me. I'm gonna be like, hey everybody, did I tell you about my standing desk? I'm very excited. I'm standing up right now. It's exciting. Also, I've got my treadmill going. Ignore the background noise, and it would just be like all the time. That would be how the streams go. Can you imagine? That'd be terrible. I'm so sorry. Oh, that'd be so bad. Be so bad. Shrimp dairy. Yeah, that's actually me at the minute. I am shrimp dairy. I've come to accept that normal working hours are a myth at this stage. They are not a myth. It's just when you're early career, they're a myth. When you actually like get to an established point in your career, I've been told that they are no longer a myth and you can actually just work 9 to 5. This is very exciting to me and what I'm looking forward to personally. I'm wondering what my tuition is paying for sometimes. We even have to pay. You have to pay to sit. What? You have to pay for the Scantrons you take your exams on. That is ridiculous. That actually makes me angry. Printed out most of the chapters of Berserk before I got caught by an attendant. That's funny. Pirating is bad. I must say this for TOS reasons. But also that's funny. Once one has a standing desk, it's mandatory to say sitting is the #1 silent killer at least once a day. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start being like, oh, what's that? You want me to posture check? How about standing desk? I'll have to change my posture check into like walk on the treadmill. I have to replace one of the redeems, like walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes. Yeah, it becomes treadmill ASMR. This is true. This is true. Posture check. Thank you, J-Tubs. I can't stand up though, but I can sit up. So thank you. I can only achieve the mythical work-life balance when I hire a team of 10. That's such a mood. That's such a mood. I realized, I looked at my hours. I actually like made an hours log and I was like, I'm actually just doing like 2 full-time jobs. How does that work? That's not good. Yes, I agree. Very much so. Very much crack. Then again, I just went to the other library and kept doing it. That's so funny. Toggle, sit, stand, redeem. That would be fun, but that would be a lot of work. Like it takes like a solid 30 seconds to move. And then also, I don't know, I don't really have like a place to put my chair because I'm like backed against the wall. So I'd have to like, I think that'd be too difficult. That'd be fun though. Maybe one day if/when I eventually have my own office and have more space, that's a good idea. Can we get redeems for increase or decrease treadmill speed? No, that would be a terrible idea. That would not be good. Clockify for the win. Is that like a time tracking app? I should do that. I should do that. I just did all of my tracking like manually, basically, for a while. but like for specific things, which is probably not the most sensible way to do it when there's so many good apps to do it now. I remember seeing Linus Torvalds' room. I don't know what Linus Torvalds' room looks like, but that is mildly fascinating to me. What if we do room review, but for open source people? That'd be funny. Rate my open source office. There's a series of exercises for dealing with back pain from sitting. You can start with no weight. You know what? Post those in the server, please, because I would actually, or send them to me. I would actually like to know them because I am suffering. I am not in a good place with my back at the minute. I'm like actually a bad person. Well, your name is Lucifer, yeah. Thank you for the follow, Lady Noramon. Welcome in, welcome in. You're a participant now. I hope you read the participant information sheet because you just signed the consent form. Welcome in. I hope you're enjoying the stream. Trust me, I have extensive knowledge of these back exercises. Ooh, tempting. Yeah, no, I need to learn how to actually like do proper exercises so that I'm not suffering all the time. It's very tempting to learn how to do them. I should do them. Send me some workouts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's time tracking. You hit go and pause when you start or finish work, and you can also assign what the project is and what part of it. It's great for me, which is the client you're doing work for. Yeah. I can imagine that being really useful. Really, really useful. Yeah. Especially if it like auto export. I'm weird though, so I just sit there and do loads of like analysis on the data. Like, I'd be like, I want to learn more about my, I don't know, what work I tend to do at 3 p.m. Need to do a pull-up. Need to get a pull-up bar so I can start doing good back exercises. I just need to start exercising. Let's be like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just not recently. I walk sometimes, like twice a week, properly. Maybe 3. Not good. I'm turning into a slug. Do slugs exercise? I guess they kind of do. How far have we got with this? Okay. We're doing that thing again where we're not... Wait, is this another... No, okay. We're doing that thing again where it's taking us ages to read the paper because I'm yapping. I'm tired. Where did we get to? Okay, yeah, we finished this page. Okay. Right, paper. Okay. Our experiment randomly assigns respondents to one of 3 groups, which includes 1 control and 2 treatment arms. Oh, it's an experimental survey. Nice. Okay. Each treatment group is shown information about a single-parent households living in poverty. The narrative treatment is a short essay about a single mother who works full-time in a low-wage job and depends on food banks to feed her child. The statistical treatment is a pie chart showing that most single-parent households live in relative poverty. Following these treatments, respondents are asked to compare different budget proposals in a conjoint design that randomly varies the expenditure levels of 5 fiscal programs. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Thank you for the follow, Yangcha. Welcome in. Welcome in. I hope you're good. I hope you're enjoying the stream. You're a participant now. You've just signed the consent form. Welcome in. Does have report or analytics tools. That's very fun. I would use those so much. I'm a nap, but I'll leave the stream on. Surely I'll learn and take this in my sleep. Have fun. Thank you, Kuro. I hope you have a good nap. I hope you rest well. Thank you for leaving a lurk while you're napping. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I hope your nap goes well. I hope you sleep well. Okay, right. So they're randomly assigning people to read one of the things, either about the story or about the statistical information, or a control. It doesn't say what that is, probably just random information. And then they're being given budget proposals. And it sounds like within those budget proposals, yeah, there's expenditure for 5 different programs, and they're kind of like mixing and matching. Okay, that makes sense. They're like kind of randomly varying that. Okay. So the reason why they're doing that is to kind of offset any bias that might appear from because there's like recency bias and primacy effect, I want to say. Primacy effect is where you remember the first thing you read and you evaluate it sometimes more positively. Recency effect is where you remember the thing that you read most recently. And then the things in the middle sometimes get a bit forgotten. So yeah, we've got a bias towards remembering things at the beginning and end of a list, not so much the stuff in the middle. And sometimes that can affect how we evaluate things. We can sometimes feel more positive about the thing that we actually remember. So I'm assuming that they're doing random variation there to offset that. Okay. The conjoint design is a critical element of this article's contributions. Past studies of poverty relief have primarily looked at preferences in unidimensional space, such as more or less spending on a specific program. However, this design makes it challenging to separate attitudes towards poverty relief from prior beliefs about the merits of big versus small government. Our conjoint design explicitly incorporates the multidimensional nature of budget proposals. This allows us to examine the trade-offs that respondents make in spending across various policy sectors, as well as their preferences for an aggregate increase in expenditure as opposed to fiscal re-entrenchment via debt repayment. Yeah, so basically budgets aren't just one thing, right? You can have one policy, one proposal, and typically when people are investigating these kind of things, they will just be like, how do you feel about this one proposal? What they're doing is actually providing a whole policy portfolio and then seeing how that policy is evaluated within the portfolio. So, because like, for example, you might say, oh yeah, I really like this policy and I want to spend more on it, but then also you just want to spend more across the board. Or you might say, in contrast, you might say, I really like this policy and I want to spend more on it, but you actually want to decrease spending across the board, right? Those two things are not the same. Because like, you might just increase this policy in line with everything else, and it's still getting counted as an increase. Or you might actually think it just stands out and it's a unique and good thing in its own right, and therefore increase it, but maybe keep everything else the same, or increase it at a lower level, or even decrease it. Those are not the same. Those are very different like decisions, and they're trying to capture that by taking the policy approach, which is very cool. Okay. Yes. Okay. Our quantity of interest is the narrative premium, or how much more effective narrative evidence is than statistical evidence in changing preferences about fiscal allocations across multidimensional policy space. So, yeah, the narrative premium, I'm assuming, is you're looking at how much does the narrative, like the story, increase persuasion. In contrast, how much does the statistics increase persuasion? And then normally for like a comparison like that, you'd kind of like do something like subtract one from the other. So you might, subtract statistical, like how much statistics increases preference from how much the story increases preference, if that makes sense. So yeah, you kind of like take one from the other and it gives you a measure of difference, basically. And I think that's probably what they're going to be using. We find that narrative premium increases for higher levels of poverty spending. Wait, wait a second, are they summarizing their findings in the introduction? That's not a thing I've ever seen before. Okay. 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 That's thrown me slightly. What? I'm confused. Okay. We find that narrative premium increases for higher levels of poverty spending. Respondents who are shown the narrative about the plight of a single mother are more likely to support the expansion of poverty relief than those who are shown statistical evidence. Moreover, the narrative premium is statistically significant and positive. Overall background characteristics we surveyed included partisanship. Okay, interesting. Further classification suggests that narrative evidence is particularly effective in strengthening the convictions of those already aware of actual levels of societal poverty, rather than converting those who underestimate the issue. The remainder of the article is organised as follows. The first section introduces the narrative premium and provides close context about Japan, including recent trends in poverty rate and fiscal constraints. The next section explains our information treatment, survey structure, and randomised conjoint experiment. The following section discusses our identification strategy, and then we report the results of our conjoint analysis and the effect of our information treatments. Finally, we conclude the article. Cool, thank you for that summary. Thank you for the abstract. The extended abstract, that kind of felt like an extended abstract. That was interesting. LLMs with longer context lengths also have problems with remembering stuff in the middle compared to the beginning or end. That's really interesting. It's called the attention mechanism. That's super, super interesting. I didn't realize that was a thing. Thank you for the Discord invite, me, not you. I will try my best to remember to send you the link. If I don't, find a way to poke me and say, hey, you've not sent me the link. But I will send it to your Twitch whispers. You gotta head out for work. Thank you for dropping by, Nightmind. I hope your work goes well. Yeah, I hope you have a good shift. Yeah. I would say have fun, but that doesn't feel right. I hope it goes well, and I hope it's not too tiring. have a good shift. I've seen that a couple of times in some papers. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen like an extended abstract at the end of the the first part of the introduction like that. That's very interesting. Yeah, that's a new one for me. Okay. How long is this? Probably too long for me to get through. Okay. Right. Well, okay. We discussed the abstract and then the abstract again. So I think that that's enough for today. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very tired and I started late anyway. My apologies. I do think it's probably time to wrap up. But yeah, I think the premise of this paper sounds really interesting. The seeing how people were affected by different things within a broad portfolio of policies is super, super interesting. I don't think I've seen that before. So I'm very, very interested to see how this will go. However, that being said, they've kind of already told us how it will go. It will be interesting if the results that they present actually match up with what they're saying happened. It feels intuitive that sob stories are effective at tugging the heartstrings of those predisposed towards an issue. Yeah. It is intuitive. The interesting thing about social psychology is that sometimes it feels intuitive and then you're like, surely this will be the case. And then sometimes it is, but often it isn't. That is interesting. But yeah, this does feel like it's going to be one of those things where like the broad premise at least seems to be fairly intuitive. We'll see if the actual data is intuitive because that might be a very different situation. Sometimes, you know, the actual data itself is very, very different. Okay. Right. Maybe the percentages will be more surprising than the premise. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're quite small. If they're big, that will surprise me. Generally, I'm at the point where I generally just expect things like that to just be like low. Generally in social psychology, they're just, you know, effect sizes are low. So yeah. Right. I'm trying to work out what's going on. But yeah, the paper seems promising. The paper does seem promising. I think that's cool. And I'm interested to like delve into the actual specifics of the survey. I think that will be very, very interesting, very cool. I'm definitely not stalling for time while I try and work out what's going on and what I'm doing. Definitely not stalling. But yeah. I'm running out of stalling things to say about the paper. Oh no. Oh no. Thanks for reading it. Gonna head to bed. Bye-bye. I hope you sleep well. Yes, I'm also going to be heading to bed very, very shortly. I'm very tired actually, and like I said, I have to teach tomorrow. That'll be fun. Yes, have a good rest. Yes. Okay. I'm trying to work out where we're going. No, I'm struggling. I'm not gonna lie, I'm struggling. When am I not struggling? Let's be honest. If I need to find a better way to like work out where I'm going with raids because I am not very good at it. And then I like click the raid too quick and then I'm like panicking to wrap up everything. I just kind of forget what I'm doing. This is something that I definitely need to work on, and I'm still looking and I'm not feeling inspired by anything I'm seeing, and the people I follow are people that we've kind of raided fairly recently and I feel a bit weird about that. So yeah, there's someone doing maths but they've no I'm struggling. Today is not a good day for my brain to be processing. I swear I'm a scientist and I can do things, I swear. I know what I'm doing. Let's raid our beds. I hope this doesn't sound weird. That could sound weird depending on the context. I think in this context it's fine. Do we want to do a PSP repair? That sounds vaguely interesting. Potentially. Repairing a PlayStation portable device. Yeah, I'm struggling. You know what, actually? Whatever. Let's just take a gamble. Does anyone have any suggestions, first of all, for who we could raid? Does anyone have any suggestions? I'm throwing this out there as a free guide the raid. Anyone can take it. If I don't see anything, then I am going to try. I just found this while searching. Yeah, because like I can see someone's doing game dev, but they're 6 out. I can never tell what's going on. Homozygote. Oh, wait, Homozygote is live. Do I not follow Homozygote? Oh my god, I don't. Wait, no, maybe I do and they've just started. That's a good shout. Homozygote did a Tofu Tech Talks with Tiny Toxic Tofu. That's so difficult to say. I remember watching it and being like, wow, that's really interesting. That's a good shout. What are they doing? Don't know yet. Literally just started. 2 minutes. Okay, that's good. Let's go there. Well, this was a far left channel pushing COVID conspiracy. No, I think my understanding is that I think they're either a geneticist or something like that. But yeah, they did a Tofu Tech Talk. I feel really bad because I remember watching it and being like, wow, that's really interesting. And then I've completely forgotten what their field is, but I think that they are a PhD student. So yeah, let's do that. There's going to be an ad break incoming, literally as we're raiding in. I apologize in advance for that. Let's just, you know, we'll all sit through it, please. Can we all, you know, actually no, I'll just stall for a little bit longer. I'll just stall for a little bit longer. This is a good way to do it, right? This is a good way to do it. Science, am I right? Yeah, I have to go back to editing my JSON file. This is science. They tell you that it's like cool and you get to do funky experiments and sit there in a lab coat and look cool and nice and exciting. And the reality is that you actually just sit there and edit a JSON file. So that's good. I hope my supervisor will be proud of my JSON file. But yeah, it's to like make a survey basically, but it's kind of difficult because the randomization feature that I was used to using in the previous software isn't in this current software. Like they're working on it basically. It's a work in progress. And that's like problematic because A/B testing is a fairly central part of my research. So I'm like, oh, I guess I just won't be A/B testing in this software very easily unless I learn a different software and then integrate it. Except the problem is that I've only got 2 months left till my PhD submission, so I don't have time to be learning all of this new software, so that's not good. So yeah, that's where I am. That's where I'm at. Science really do just be like a lot of just learning new things. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, thank you all for joining. I'm gonna start the raid now. We'll actually head out. I'm gonna be streaming again tomorrow. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. But it will be 7 p.m. UTC, I think. That sounds about right. Tomorrow, and I'll be doing not science. We're not doing science tomorrow because I've got too much science brain. So yeah, I need a break, basically. I need a break and I want to do something, you know, different. So yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. Yeah, thank you all so much for joining. We have once again not got very far through the paper, but that's okay because this one's experimental and it was basically just a little introduction. And next time, I swear, we will at least finish the literature review and maybe even do some of the methods. Or maybe we will stop just before the methods and then we will do methods and results and discussion all together. That would be fun. 7 p.m. so the stream will start at 8. Don't call me out like this. Yes. Thank you for the stream. Very interesting, abstract. I'm just going at my own pace. You're all too interesting to talk to. That's the problem. That's the problem. Stop distracting me. I'm trying to science. But yeah, thank you all for joining. And yeah, raid messages up in chat. And I will see you hopefully tomorrow for some not science. Bye.